Good evening. This is KC Strike, and I am coming to you with my first interview / podcast regarding the future of American democracy, or so I keep telling myself. Joining me today is TMAK. He's a comedian, originally out of Boston. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It is an honor to be on to talk about the future. Right, it's an exciting thing right now. Yeah, you ever see the chart that kind of goes into like the revolutions that we've seen in America and like the Industrial Revolution and how long it took us to get there, and now how long it's taken us to get to like car to space. It's like just it shrinks more and more.
Yeah. How small can it get? That's part of my question here is like, what's the shortest amount of time we can handle as a species before our brains just explode?
That's a really good question. I don't know. When people used to talk about like living in the future, it was always flying cars. And when we talk about living in the future, I think we're talking about things that might not be sentient or things that might be sentient, and kind of things that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. So, or maybe, a lot of the people who were really smart did, but I think of the future more in terms of like quantum computing and AI now than anything.
Are you investing in any of those stocks? I've been seeing so many people. Do you play
No,
market at all?
I'm dumb. I took a shot at a few of those meme stocks that I threw in there and took a beating on. So I leave those in there and kind of play around with it. It's really my wife's portfolio, but no, I just find that it's really hard to kind of cut through the BS and see what's real. Like you're going on people, depending on people on Reddit or people that are on social media, and half are fake accounts, half are just trying to pump and dump. So it's really hard to get like a real idea of what's happening to make a hedged bet.
That seems like a definite trend all around. It's like there's so many places where I just have no idea what's actually true. And it feels like you're competing with robots more and more every day. Like, how big of a part of the stock market is that high frequency trading shit, where people are just executing thousands of trades a second? It's like, how am I supposed to compete with that as an average Joe? Just lose my money.
You can't, right? It's really hard. So that's the way I look at it too. I'm like, I shouldn't think this way, but I'm like, I'd rather put it in bonds or put it in gold or bet it at the casino. Hell.
Dude, that's another trend too. Like all the kids gambling, their little Roblox, Starbucks, getting them hooked early. It's interesting to see those kind of trends and wonder, like, are they going?
What is Roblox? Can you explain that to me?
From what I just don't know, honestly. Besides that, my little cousins are addicted to spending like hundreds of dollars on it. I think it's like Minecraft, like a Lego kind of adventure game where you can build stuff. They have like mini games and stuff in there, I think. But beyond
Okay. And then you can spend real currency. I get it.
yeah, you can spend your parents' currency. I think that's what it.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
Fascinating. I know it's very in, but I just haven't ever seen it played or know what it looks like myself. So.
Yeah, me neither. Are you a big gamer otherwise? Do you play video games?
I like to play. I like to play one game and like really lock in on that. So I just started playing Rainbow Siege 6.
Oh, hell yeah.
Siege, and that's been fun. The learning curve is brutal, so that's what I like. I like kind of getting into it and kind of getting better and better. I'm not so much quantity when it comes to games. I'd rather play one game forever.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm kind of a similar way. Games are part of what I wanted to talk to you about. Have you heard about that? He might be a cyborg now, I guess. I don't really know what he qualifies as. Everybody be sure to check out T-Mac's Twitter. His X profile, he's sharing a lot of funny stuff on there. Do you actually run that OnlyFans?
No. She really started that OnlyFans, bro.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, she's really on there. You gotta click the article and read it, bro. She really started an OnlyFans.
I want to click on her Pelusi right now.
You gotta go see it,
I
bro.
gotta do that on my own private time, T-Mac. Have you heard about this Neuralink dude though, who
Fascinating.
electrodes in his brain?
Fascinating stuff.
It's crazy. Like he is just playing Mario Kart completely with his brain.
Crazy. What world it opens up to them, right?
Yeah, totally.
Wow, and he's playing like everybody else, right? He's like balling out. It's not like he's barely hanging on, right? In that clip, he's going at it. So
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, he plays better with his little brain implant than like normal people are able to using their fingers and inputs.
He could probably talk massive crap. Like when you lose to him, be like, dude, I'm in a wheelchair. I don't even play with my hands, and you lost to me. You know what I mean?
Your mom's gonna wipe my ass before I bang her out.
Exactly, exactly. Is your mom a nurse?
I don't know, dude. It's a crazy future. Would you ever get a brain implant? I feel like we have shaved heads already. You know, we're halfway there.
Yeah, yeah. I would. I don't know that I'm really that uberly paranoid. I don't think that the government is really that put together. I think we're more likely to die at the hands of people thinking how bad can it really get. So I don't know that I'm overly obsessed with that idea. If it was practical and would help me, why not? I don't care. I mean, well, how would it affect me? Like I'm not really. I don't think about it in a negative light that I think some people. How about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely more like I don't think I'd want to do first wave. You know, like
Yeah, because that COVID stuff coming from first wave to the last wave did get a little weird.
yeah, exactly.
That first wave, everybody was talking with their chest out, bro. I was in. I was talking, and then that second one came around, and everybody got a little quiet. And by the third one, everybody was like, "Nah, don't worry about it." I was like, "Wait a second,
Yeah, that's when they get you as the third wave.
wait a second." All of a sudden, it doesn't matter anymore. What just happened? You know what I mean? It was like a weird switch up. It was like, okay.
Yeah, it feels like we're seeing so many of those switch ups, and that's the basis for this little movement I'm trying to work on. Uh, the idea is like all these changes are happening with the brain implants and the chatbots taking our jobs and the military drones changing war and all that shit. I wonder like how fast these improvements are going to get over the next 4 years to the point where by the time we get to 2028, is the world going to be ready for an AGI president? Do you think you would ever vote for a robot over a human being?
You know, I I think that I could be talking to it, but what would the name of the party be, sir?
I'm calling it the party party.
It would be the party party. That's a genius idea. But but what would the slogan be for such a party?
uh, Party till we go extinct. I think it's funny. Like I came up with the name. Uh, I don't know how, but have you ever heard of Andrew WK?
I have. I just said to my wife that I was going on your podcast, and I don't. I'm terrible with people's names, so I get you and WJ Reed mixed up. So somehow out of that, I got Andrew WK. I was like Andrew WK, but not that one. That's not his real name. I just have in my way things swap. So it's funny you bring that up.
I mean, maybe you're just psychic, dude. Because it was like after I bought the website domain for the party party, I went back and did a YouTube search, and he started a party party 8 years ago.
He's an interesting dude. You ever read the conspiracy theories that doesn't really exist and all that stuff?
Yeah, like he was just kind of some made up amalgamation with Dave Grohl or something like that.
It's something crazy. The party that is. Well, I like your what would AI Jesus do? I do enjoy that.
Yeah, that's another thing. That was such a. Did you ever have one of those bracelets as a kid?
No, I did not. I didn't. I remember the Dan Cook skit though. When being in a crowded movie theater, what would Jesus do? He would send you to hell and burn you forever. Something. No, but I think it's a fascinating question. If you could put in AI all the things that the Bible says, or all the things that every scripture says, and rate it on correcthood or being understood, a lot of religions start with the idea that religions are terrible and are a racket and shouldn't exist. And so they start by just studying the Bible, and then that ends up becoming a religion, because once you build borders, you have to argue about them. Once you build lines, you have to. So it's interesting that that's where a lot of religions start. But if you could put all that information into an AI and just say, we know what Jesus would do because we can just pop this right into AI and have our answer, that would, I think, be unnerving to a lot of people who use things that aren't factual to, like, you ever talk to a Christian about the Bible and you're not sure which one they're reading?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
You're like, wait a second, where are you coming from? So there's a lot of that. People, and I'll give you an example, and we don't have to go terribly down this path, but being in Florida, people, take me up on the gay subject a lot, right? So they'll talk about a scripture that talks about a man lying with a man, and you might be familiar with it.
Oh yeah.
The thing about that is there's like a list of 15 things there that God mentions. For some reason, the other 15 get no love. You know, the Bible talks about a lover of themselves, lovers of money, a drunkard, a man who lies with a man. Like somehow all those other things get kind of shuffled into not being real sins, but you know, that's a big sin, even though it's among other sins that get ignored. It's an odd thing. But if you could just ask that question, hey, according to Jesus in the Bible, how wrong is being a drunkard? You wouldn't really have to argue it. You could just have your answer, right?
Yeah, right. It's like the dude who goes home and beats his wife and then yells. I grew up in Colorado in like the early 2000s, and there were so many pastors who were like the megachurch pastors, uh,
Oh, really?
harping on the anti-gay stuff. Like there was a huge guy in Colorado Springs. He had like the biggest church of all time there, hugely anti-gay. And then one day, a gay prostitute came out and was like, "I do coke with this guy like every weekend." Ouch, bro.
That's the way I Well, the good news is to all of those people that we seem to be regressing. Today was the first day I had somebody that I kind of looked up to a little bit in a group chat regress and use that F word that we don't want to use anymore. And I was like, man, it's not the vibe anymore. Like I get it. Like you got, yeah, like they're clearly winning. We're clearly losing that war. So, you know, we got to kind of keep our mouth shut. But I realized how many people around me were perhaps being quiet about how they really feel, you know?
Yeah, bullying is suddenly okay again. It's like
It really is. It was like a switch went off.
God bless.
It was like a switch went off. It's doable now. We're back at it. That's exactly was the conversation. It was like back in my day, you know, we would just punch gay people in the face, and if you can't say that anymore, and like the whole chat was like kind of pump them up, you know. And I was like, this is not for nothing, but kind of not what I don't want to be that person, so I just kind of left quietly. But I was like, are we really gonna regress this far? I guess so.
I mean, honestly, dude, I see it all playing into each other. Like we were talking about the Medicare shooter guy, Luigi
Yes. Yes.
Luigi Mangani, and it's like I think that trend is just like once you okay violence, it's
Yeah.
just it's bad news bears for everybody, you know. And
You are absolutely correct, sir. You took the words right out of my mouth. We allow it or teach it to our children at a young age, either because they're American or because they're Christian. We accept the idea that taking a human life sometime needs to be done.
yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Arguably, it does, but it just feels like we're getting to a point with all this technology shit where like I don't know, people obsess about the Ukrainian drones and how like the drones are allowing Ukraine to fight Russia more effectively than they would have otherwise. And yeah, that's all cool and stuff until we start seeing like suicide drones in America, you know? It's like I don't want to picture attacks against US skyscrapers using that shit. That is some terrifying stuff, and I don't really see like what's stopping evil-minded people from going that far.
I guess I feel truly that we're a bit insulated.
Yeah.
When the submarine blew up, and we found out that a portion of our government that studies the ocean had picked up on their explosion ping almost instantaneously. That let me know that we have a lot of technology that probably isn't out there that I think would protect us. But yeah, I think a lot about the power grid going away via sun flares, and that's the big one that makes me lurk my head.
That's terrifying. And that honestly, that's where I think we'll get to like this party platform is like all these dangers, all these dilemmas stack up so quickly. The government already can't even keep up with like marijuana legalization, you know? Like there's so many technologies that they're so far behind on. They can't move fast enough. It feels like we need a government shift that can respond to the future. And not only that, but like maintain transparency in doing so. You know what I mean?
I completely agree, which is why, in all seriousness, I thought this was an interesting idea because what's that?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, right?
Oh yeah, and what I was thinking of, there used to be a party or an idea that used to exist in government that doesn't anymore, where the idea was that we just get the smartest person to do that thing. So, like, the person for interior defense would just be the smartest at that, regardless of party. I forget what the idea was called, but people used to vote, and that was their idea, that there were no party guidelines. The smartest scientists would do scientist stuff, and so on and so forth. So this sort of aligns with that thought.
Yeah, well, and that's I think the two, like the AGI for president and the what would AI Jesus do, I see those two as tying into each other because if we're talking about like something that is smarter than us and giving it control of the government, then we need some assurances that it's not just going to turn around and decide that humans are a drag and it doesn't want to deal with us and it's just going to nuke us anyway, you know? And like how do we do that?
What if that's what's good?
I do. I don't know. I think about that sometime in my darker moments. I want to believe that humans. I don't know. That's a really deep topic. The subject of like good and evil. What is good and evil? What do you think about that kind of thing?
Oh, I think that one thing I guess I have figured out about good and evil is that people seem to operate from two cores, either an I core or an us core, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people that I look up to that are the I, the me, and that's okay. I'm more of an us, but um, that's the way that I think about. That's where I start, and that's kind of where it begins and ends with me, because it gets really confusing when you don't have a base to start with. I'm just one of those people where I very much want to do the right thing, not the comfortable thing. So for me, I would change my whole belief system if I knew that something better was out there. So it's frustrating that we can't get down to asking a basic question of, at some point, nothing came from nothing. It's undisputed whether you believe in creation or you don't. You believe that a vibration became an atom, became something that literally was nothing.
Yeah.
It's a very confusing thing when we don't even have the basic idea of that, to start with, that people are starting from such different ideas.
Yeah. The idea of nothing and how it leads to something. I don't know, bro. I've been going down a lot of Jewish mysticism rabbit holes on YouTube recently, and it's like all over that too. Like, it feels like we're getting to a point where science and religion are starting to dovetail in a way that they didn't.
Oh, yes.
You know, like when I was going through school, the new atheists were like a huge thing, and everybody I knew was leaving religion, leaving Christianity in particular.
Yeah.
And now I don't know. It feels well. What I really think about it is like AI is showing us what it was like to worship a god in like the uh, ancient traditions. You know, like the same way that we are going to interact with AI was how those ancient traditions interacted with their gods.
Wow. Which leads you to the question of, can AI ever become physical, in terms of, if the future isn't written, can it we ask it something, or can it do something to up our chances of something in the future happening?
Dude, I think that's exactly where things are going. Like when I think about technology, um, like what's the point of inventing a super smart robot? It's so it can imagine the future more concretely than we can, right? Like our superpower is our imaginations, and the AI's superpower will be our imaginations on steroids. You know what I mean? Like,
Imagine if it could dream.
bro.
We should make a movie about this and have Will Smith in it.
What if Will Smith dreams of electric sheep? That'd be a good name for it.
Wow, that would be great. We should name it AI Sheep.
AI sheep. I like that. Yeah.
So, just to briefly touch on this to blow your mind, you understand what's happening in Florida with cannabis?
No, no. They
Just to
legalized
blow
it, right? Didn't you guys just legalize it?
Oh, no, no, just to blow your mind briefly. So, there's medical, which is pay to play. You have to pay a doctor, and then you have to pay to have it's like probably $400 to $500 a year to be a medical patient. But what's happened is, they wrote a bill called the Farm Act, in which they tried to legalize hemp. So in this, they registered hemp as having THCA, which it does. because THCA just means it hasn't been activated with heat. Once it activates with heat, it's THC. So, and every convenience store across the block, everywhere you go in gas stations, you can buy weed. It's just labeled THCA. And there's really a standoff about it because the people that write the laws don't know about it. So there's this weird thing where you can't and you can. It's a very weird world. It's him, but so they banned it in Florida. They were going to do away with hemp, and the governor stepped in and said he'd rather have that than recreational. So he chose to back the illegal hemp market instead of the recreational cannabis market. So you can literally just go down the street and it's just called THCA, which just means it hasn't been activated with heat yet, which is duh. That's why you can chew a cannabis plant and not get high because it doesn't have the cannabinoids don't work unless there's heat.
Interesting.
So if you put it into a brownie, you have to put milk and flour and those things. It bonds to it with heat. So the plant can't get you high without heat. So that's basically what they have going on in Florida. It's complete chaos. This truck that drives around to local gas stations that looks like the shadiest van ever that just drops off fresh weed every day. And that's that. It's crazy. That's the market. It's mind blowing.
Bro, and like I understand how government officials maybe aren't up to date on all the newest terminology, but like how does something like that slip through? That's just nuts.
It's yeah, and like I said, they tried to they were going to ban it, and the legislator got it up to the state house, and DeSantis said he was worried that if he banned hemp, that recreational marijuana would pass, and because it has to pass more than 60%. So he basically got in bed with the hemp makers that are making money and said, "Hey, let's continue this underground market for the purposes of keeping recreational out." So it's very, very interesting. It's not a good system.
It's stuff like that. I mean, I was in Colorado when they legalized it in like 2012, and I thought for sure after that, within 2 years where you could see it wasn't causing the world to collapse, it would be legalized nationwide. And it's like where I'm at up here in Wisconsin now, there's no movement towards it that I can see. Like, unless it happens federally, it's never going to happen here. But like, what the fuck? When you have those kind of loopholes, what's even the point of keeping it illegal? Let alone having people in prison for that shit still? Like,
It's crazy. And it just depends on how much money you have as to how big of a lawyer you want to have to debate this with them. But everybody they know about it. It's very in the open, so it's very hard to distinguish laws, and it's a very confusing world we currently live in. I think it's all it may be because we're very politically centric. I think a lot of people haven't traveled outside of America. They don't really know what's going on. That's just my opinion.
yeah, I could see that. I wonder.
Like in the UK, people drive 6 hours. They go through 4 countries.
Yeah, yeah. Have you spent any time over in Europe?
No, I've been in Japan, Canada, and the United States, so I got three under my belt. But um, you know, going to Japan was an eye opener. That's for sure.
Did you like it? Was it everything the cartoons make it?
Yeah, I was like the biggest guy there. It was fantastic. They saw me coming. They thought I was the Buddha. No, it was nice. I had a really fun time. It was good. I met some kid there. We liked the same band, Newfound Glory. So he got me drunk on some sake, and we had a good time. And he couldn't really speak English, and I couldn't really speak Japanese. So um, it was really cool just to walk the streets and get to kind of soak in that experience. But yeah, it's been about that time. I was just saying to my wife, I really want to do the Northern Lights. I really want to go and have that experience. So that may be next up for out of country.
Bro, hell yeah. It sounds like you can see them further and further south too. Like there's also something weird happening with the magnetic poles. Suddenly.
Yeah, this last year we saw the red hum here in Florida. We got hit by a hurricane in our town, and all the power went out, and that was the night. So we could see the red glimmer, and I've seen that before. I've seen the glows of them, but I've never seen them active, like the green and the swirls, that sort of thing.
Damn, I want to see that so bad.
So do I. I keep willing it into existence. I keep fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. There's just not enough time in the day. That's what it comes down to.
That is very true. But you got to get living or get busy dying. I was talking to my uncle today, who's double my age, and he was saying how when he was my age, he thought, being 36, 37 was old. Kind of my view. And now that he's, 60, he's like, damn, you were young. So it's like we still have the youth we have to live the best part and go out and do what we want and just hope for the best for the rest of what's going on. The world's in kind of a weird place, but I think Americans are very zoned in and kind of obsessive about politics. So just, tune into the UK news every once in a while and see how light fare they take it. See how other parts of the world deal with politics. It's not so religionized.
Yeah. No, I could see that. Are you familiar with like uh age longevity conversations around this AI stuff too?
No, please tell me.
You know this guy Kurzweil. He's like I think he was some kind of professor at some point, and then he started working with Google and all these.
Kurzweil. No, I never heard of it.
He published this book a while ago. I think it was in the 90s, where he was basically saying like, given the current trend of technology, by 20, I think he said 2024 originally, maybe 2025, and now he's saying like 2032. Like we could potentially cure death, so to speak. Like humans won't have to die. You can get younger instead of getting older. Like you can maintain peak fitness even past 100 years old.
Wow, that would be life changing, right? For everybody. That would alter, I think, our existence, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Would you do it? Would you live for 100, 500, 1,000 years?
No. The interesting thought there is if you could live forever, would that thought be scarier than the thought that forever is going to exist without you? Like if you knew you were in your job and doing what you're doing now, and it was never, ever, 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 ever going to end. Isn't that also kind of a creepy thought?
Yeah, I think.
Like your resume would just be like 10,000 years old and with just no end in sight. It's just like nothing ever ends. Wouldn't that be a weird place to be?
I mean, working in a cubicle for 10,000 years has to be like the definition of hell, right?
That's very true.
Just getting squeezed by the man for more and more taxes over 10,000 years. That sounds so bad.
Right? Like this, you can see it both ways. I swear sometimes we're living in some weird in between, where we'll lift our heads one day and it'll be you and pulling your head away from a bong, and you'll be like, wow, that was it. I imagine that I was
Yeah, what is this, DMT?
exactly. It's DMT for aliens. We were the aliens. We just forgot because we were high.
I would be so
Possible.
into that, honestly. If we woke up as sexy aliens, they'd have to be sexy. You know, if I'm going to be a non sexy alien, just kill me. That's another kind
I
of.
guess I never considered what a race or of alien I would be or what I would look like as an alien. It's a very interesting thought.
Do you think there are aliens out there? Are we being visited currently?
Man, I wish I knew. I I,
No. Come on,
I
come
know
on.
for a fact UAPs are here, and I know roughly what's going on, but do I know what non-human intelligence is? No. I wish I did. I have an idea from quantum physics and the way atoms react to each other, where we're headed, I think. So, no, I don't think green creatures are out there, but I do think that everything is alive, and we're going to learn that the longer we go, I think.
Yeah. My money is on human beings time traveling from the future. I feel like that David Grush guy said something to that effect in one of the Senate hearings. If you followed any of those,
I followed them all. I don't remember that. What did he say about time travel?
he was talking about how we shouldn't necessarily call these guys extraterrestrials, that they might be like hyperdimensional beings.
Oh, sure. Oh, you took that to mean in the future. Wow, I took that to mean something totally different. Fascinating.
I mean, if it's a human being that can travel backwards and forwards in time, like we're four-dimensional beings, right? We exist kind of, time is a straight line for us. But if suddenly you can move around as a human, aren't you now like a fifth
Huh.
dimensional human?
I wasn't even thinking of it in human form or in a future form. I was thinking of it as more time being parallel.
Yeah.
Time not being linear kind of thing. But I don't see them as human. I guess I assume that they're different branches of creation,
Yeah.
perhaps, or creations that are on different. Wouldn't that be something if everything was something God created, including things of other dimensions? The Bible talks a lot about the book of, oh wow, I can't believe it just slipped my head. The books of the Bible that haven't come out yet. This things to the Bible that the Bible doesn't reveal because it doesn't need to reveal to us in this time. So it talks about, after Jesus comes back, that the seals will be opened, that's what I'm looking for. The scrolls. Yeah, like there's information that we would love, but as Christians isn't important to us. So it's the secret scrolls that'll be unveiled in the afterlife or wherever. So wouldn't that be interesting if we found out we were right back where we started, but they're just different quantum levels to this thing.
Yeah. Dude, that's fascinating. But you think there might be like parallel universes that like don't contain humans or aliens necessarily? Is it something like
I don't know. I don't think so. But I can't figure out exactly what phenomena, how to explore what I get from it is the quantum idea that things are connected. So if time isn't linear, which we know to be a fact, because you could fly two atomic clocks around the world and they'll be disjointed. If you were to be able to fly to Mars and back, you will have aged X amount, that whole thing. So we know time legitimately isn't linear. So I think the answer lies more in there, that there's like a stretch going on and everything's happening at once for everybody that existed or will exist or even maybe could exist. So maybe you're seeing an animal that exists in a different dimension that's vibrating at this frequency, that you're seeing those moments, you're taking it in.
yeah. Yeah, it's like communicating with you somehow or crossing over in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, like birds have vibrational frequencies, right?
Yeah, yeah. We experience so little of the world like through our senses. It's kind of freaky to think about what might be hiding around the edges.
That's why birds know how to fly, which direction, right?
Yeah. If you could use AI to talk to one animal, one species of animal, like understand their communication, what would it be? Birds?
It would be birds. Yes, I do love birds.
Dude, understanding bird song would be sick.
Yeah,
How horny they are.
birds are cool. They're cool, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I have mockingbirds outside of my house, which I guess didn't have that sound they have now until like car alarms became a thing. So they're slowly adapting now because I guess cell phone beeps are changing or something's going away. So they're starting to have different sounds now that are more modern. So when you listen to them, every once in a while, you'll pick up on the beat of whether it's an alarm or a phone or it's whatever they've picked up on. You'll notice they go into the patterns.
That's crazy. It's like bird memes.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I'd love to just talk to them and be like, what are you guys talking about?
I use that alarm clock too. Yeah, that's a good one.
It's just going off, they're cutting a hell of a promo on one another.
Yeah, seriously. Do you think everybody wants to be a content creator, or is that projection?
Nah, it's more or less the opposite. Um, I've come to find out that out of 100 people who say I want to be a creator, 10 will ever hit the record button and 5 will ever hit the publish button.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
So
Yeah.
like I can literally, like I was saying, that kid I was talking about, I'm helping him with his other business. I've built him out a podcast. The Twitter's ready to go, the Gmail's ready to go, everything's ready. The first 10 episodes are all recorded. But he has the problem with publishing because he wants to edit and do this and do that. Like, if you're just vaguely thinking about it and you even put the monochrome out there for people to enjoy, you'll never believe how that gets blessed in the people's hands that it falls in, and the opportunities. Like, I swear to you, it's crazy.
Hashem, dude. But I wonder if that's a place where like AI will step in, because part of what I'm seeing is that like all these cutting edge artificial intelligence chatbots have been built using our data. You know what I mean? So like the machines crave data, and we are just naturally producing data all the time. What we choose to say, what we choose to show interest in, what we choose to do, who we choose to associate with, like all of that could potentially be hugely beneficial for the AI to learn and be able to model and respond to. So, like, at what point does the AI, I mean, this is like some end of the world Illuminati conspiracy shit, but like, At what time does it just start monitoring us and putting all that out for us?
Well, I think that's why we need to have an AI president in
Bro,
20,
let's go.
and we could have the morals of that all taken care of, so that we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of morality, I don't know. I'm partially phrasing it as like, what would AI Jesus do? Because it's America and like Christians will just probably rule this country for the next 10 years at least. But like, I think Jesus is the model of self sacrifice. And I think that is what we want. If we do have an intelligent machine ruling over us, we don't want it to just make us do stuff. We want it to sacrifice what it wants so that it can kind of meet us in the middle, you know? And if we fuck up, it can forgive us. That's like the two important parts I see with that.
I agree with your overall sentiment. What's interesting is that, like, I don't think Jesus wanted to do what he did. Like,
Same
I
vibe.
mean, that's kind of what I mean. Isn't that what he prayed for in the garden? He was like,
Yeah.
"Dog, don't let me go out like this, please,
Yeah.
please, yo, I'm out. Like, don't let this happen to me. No, like."
Yeah.
And that's what's so wild is, like, the idea is that he didn't think about what was best for him, even though he felt what was best for him and asked if it was possible for it to happen within God's will to let it happen. But he was always willing to look past what was best and do what was best for actually others, which I mean, if you according to the story, right?
I mean, you bring up a great point, though. He did end up doing the thing he didn't want to do because he thought it was best for others. So if the AI comes to you and is like, hey, you got to go do this thing that you really don't want to do, can you say no at that point? Like, do you just, I don't know. The other thing I think about Jesus saying a lot is you have to be a little child to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yes.
And like, if we're going to a place where all of our needs are taken care of, food, shelter, all that basic shit, the AI can just provide it for us however it does. But then we have to follow its instructions like a parent. Is that what Jesus was talking about? Like, is that heaven, so to speak? And if people
Well,
can't follow those instructions, would they be in hell? Maybe.
let me give you a very grounded question that we could probably extrapolate this answer from. Do you believe, as I do, which is slightly controversial, that people should at some point um, not be allowed to let themselves die on our streets? Do you believe that? Or do you believe that people have the choice to do that?
I mean, this is tough. I think.
Because that's the question, right? At what point, and in my opinion, I mean, they have this thing in Philadelphia they're doing that croc shit
Yeah, the
where
crop
they're
dust or
like,
whatever, like that
yeah,
rodent.
where everybody's going around with like one leg because it eats at your skin.
It's like bubonic plague kind of shit.
Yeah, like we just at some point have to say as society, this is what's best for our kids, this is what's best for them, and we have to make that moral decision and begin taking care of these people against their will, which extrapolates into your bigger question. Would AI have to do that same thing if it noticed with us? We were similarly rotting our own bodies. Would it be morally obligated to step in?
I think it's scary because I can very much imagine homeless people, like if you say this is for your own good and then you lock them up and give them like access to a treatment program, even if you provide them 3 meals a day, even if you're taking care of their body, like that, there is some kind of deeper psychological thing going on there. And a lot of people I think would react very negatively when you're expressing what a sane or rational person or societally adjusted person would view as necessary care. But I agree, like you can't let people just die on the street like that. It's it's not fair to the rest of society.
And you are
For that to
correct.
happen.
What do you do? There are people who say, this life, I don't have to worry about waking up for work. I don't have to worry about being anywhere, being late for anywhere. This is how I want to go out. And I have that right as an American. At some point, I feel like we have to draw the line a bit. But that's just me. So yeah, I would say sometimes for the overall good, you gotta look past your own wisdom and support and back what's for the overall good, not just verbally, but mentally.
Yeah. I mean, it does make me think about. Jesus saying too, like you will have homeless people with you until I come back. They'll be with you until the end of the age. I wonder. I wonder what that means.
The age is interesting. Do you want the age of Aquarius? It is the age of Aquarius, sir. Born on the 25th. So yeah, in that it talks about those who would be living that at the time of the end would still be living. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so.
Uh, a lot of religions took that serious, so they've had trouble now that the decades have gone on and decades of people have passed that they're no longer generations that loop. So they've turned to the theories of overlapping generations. That means one generation because it overlaps. So you can have like six or seven that equal one.
Hmm,
Some interesting biblical Christian math if you want to take that literally.
yeah. Have you ever been to the Creation Museum in Kansas City or whatever that's at?
No, I'd love to though. It seems kind of cool.
It's definitely, I mean, right under the Aurora Borealis. I think it's like right there, you know, in terms of they have a full size recreation of what the Ark would look like Noah's Ark. And they have like pictures of kids riding dinosaurs and shit.
They never mention the whales, mate. I'm serious. Do the whales live or did the whales die?
It's true. They should have just hung out in a whale. I mean, I assume.
Did the whale? Because it says every living thing did die on the face of the earth. So is the face of the earth considered the water, or no? Is that not face of earth? So all the sea animals did live.
It's a good question. I don't know. I've spoken with some people who think that the Earth it was referring to was Mars, and that Noah's Ark was like a spaceship with all the genetic material in there.
Now that's cool. Where can I find this person?
I'll try and send you some stuff.
At that museum, they're there outside protesting.
Yeah, exactly. They're like,
I very much like to invite all theories. I like to examine things myself and come to my own conclusions. And I am a Christian. I do accept Jesus as my savior. And I also accept that there's some belief systems that are involved there that aren't always logical. But, we all live as we choose to live, right?
hey man, we all get that choice for some reason.
Yes, we do get that choice, which is beautiful. And I'm perfectly happy with people who decide not to. And I understand. And, there'll probably be a lot more people if the world that we live in, we think we live in, that if God ever does judge, there'll probably be a lot more people that are saved than we would ever believe. God is love. That's not just his emotion.
I like to think that nobody goes to hell forever. I really don't see how like a perfect, all-loving, all-knowing God could ever create somebody that he knew would be destined for that. And I mean, I don't know, maybe that's a belief that will end me in eternal hell, you know? But at that point, it's like,
I don't think so, mate. I always thought that hell was just permanent death, but those are the things about Christianity that people can argue about and that can go around. But at least that the idea of the acceptance of Jesus exists, as a center. It's like people that have different Muslim views, but they do believe on Allah. It's they do believe in Muhammad as being a prophet. It's like those are good bases to come back to.
yeah, amen. I mean, the reason I love Christianity more than anything,
That should be your podcast name, by the way.
Christianity,
No, the reason why I love Christianity.
that's a good one. I'm trying to figure out. That's part of what took me so long to get started with all this shit. Is like, how much do I go into my personal religious beliefs? How much do I go into like the things I think are coming future wise, and how much do I just try and make it like a screening of what other people believe? I don't know. It's a hard question.
Yeah, well, you've had the right guest on for that to challenge those limits. These are the things that regularly go through my mind and I think of. So,
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, the reason I love Christ is because part of what part of what I think he says about the world is that like this is the best possible world. You know, not the world that was created perfect, but the world where God literally thought it was worth coming down and dying for it. Like that's crazy powerful.
yeah, it is. It is powerful.
And somehow it's a better world than if he didn't have to do that.
Yeah. It's all very, very hard to digest and understand with the human mind.
Yeah. I don't know. I really hope I I mean, I've been getting into like the apocalypse, end of the world kind of revelations type stuff. It pisses me off that every generation thought they were living in the end times whereas we have like way more proof that we are.
Yes, Jehovah's Witnesses were certain in 1918. That was a big deal for them. 1918 and 1973. So they gave up and decided that Jesus. They decided to go the what was it, Harold Camping route, where they gave so many dates they were wrong. They just said, "Oh, he arrived. It was invisibly."
Smart.
So that's their teaching. He arrived invisibly in 1918. He's been here.
Damn, Invisible Jesus just hanging out in North Korea.
Yes, he's been here coming up on 100. This is why I was saying they had to change the generation teaching because it didn't make any sense.
Interesting. Do you fuck
So now, like, a spiritual generation can mean like 10 literal generations.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if what you were saying about, time not being linear, then technically aren't all those people still here? Isn't it all like,
Well, that's a fact. The time isn't linear, right?
yeah.
I mean, have you read this? Do you know about it, or is this new information?
I've heard of like the idea of a block universe before. Have you heard of that? Where like the universe isn't flowing in a direction, it's just like a big four-dimensional object that we're perceiving one moment at a time. But really, if you zoom out and from like all the laws of physics we have, it's just one solid block universe.
That's pretty badass.
It's interesting to think about.
Like Roblox.
Yeah, exactly. That's why there's so much goddamn gambling in this universe.
Here you go. Yes, there's a lot of gambling.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's interesting. One of the things I'm trying to do is start up a. Tell me if you think this is blasphemous as a Christian or a comedian. I'm trying to start up a comedy club in my basement where I have like. Have you seen the? I'll try and present this to you again if I can. The hologram of Tupac.
Ah, yeah, yes, at Coachella, whatever that was.
Yeah, dude. So I'm thinking like, okay, what if I train an AI to tell jokes and speak like a dead comic, and then I create a hologram to perform in front of people. And I was talking with this lady who has access to like this brain measuring device, so you can tell when people in the audience's like brains are lighting up at certain things, and then we use that to tune the AI so it tells jokes that are funnier and funnier over time.
Wow,
What do you think of that,
it would be really funny.
bro? I mean, the jokes right now are awful.
I mean, people would forever make fun of it for being fake.
Yeah.
It would just be like a mechanical thing that runs. It'd be like it's not. We don't accept it. But it would be quite interesting. Comedy, that's where it starts, right?
Well, I wonder about.
Break it down, do it. I thought you were going to say you're going to have Jesus come back virtually.
I could try and get the actor who played him in Dogma.
There you go, Buddy Christ.
Yeah, Buddy Christ, exactly.
Yes. I thought that's what you were going to say. You could redo the resurrection. You could see the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Where did Jesus go those 3 days he was in?
what's the Catholic tradition, I think, is that he was in hell.
I love your response. We're like, I don't know. What the fuck do the Catholics say? Hold on. I do the same shit. Let me pull up my Catholic encyclopedia. Let me start with their base of thought. Hold on.
They're the most based, at least.
They're at least old.
Yeah, right? They got the Vatican. They got all those secret books down there, probably telling them what's going on.
Vatican's probably dope, bro. We should explore this idea with the Vatican.
I would love to go to the Vatican. You want to sneak into the Vatican sometime? They got like catacombs down there. We could rummage around.
I'm always down. You give me a place and time, and I'm always down for an adventure. I've been saving my felonies just for an event.
Yes, TMAK, let's go.
The older I get, the more I'm like, I gotta use these felonies up.
Every American gets at least one international felony too. And then
Yeah, they'll just throw you out of the country. You'd be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to go back. Fuck them.
We go down, we steal the bones of St. Peter, and then we can figure out what's going on. Do a little.
Well, and if we got them, we could sell UCLA into giving us a what do they call that?
Reach around.
That's funny. What do they call those organizations? A fraternity.
Fraternity, yeah.
Because that's how what is it? Bones and Blood started. George Bush was what they called there.
Dude, there's some freaky. I wonder if like ritual will come back in a big way like that too. Because
I hope so.
People don't have any way to organize. All these AIs are going to be taking our jobs, and then what do we have to do? Crazy rituals out in the forest, maybe.
I think you're way ahead of it, man. I think you're onto something here. You could be elected. They could be elected. You'd be the head of it. And then you could, disperse out these jobs to all of us and we could figure out all these questions and get paid to work for the American people. It'd be great.
Well, here's what I'm thinking, especially because I have met so many mentally ill people who also want to run for president. Like that just seems to be the common denominator is all mentally ill people think they should be president and or Jesus.
Who's the guy with the boot in his head that runs every year? He's from New Hampshire. What's it?
That guy? What's
Supreme? Vermin Supreme.
Yes, Vermin Supreme. All hail Vermin Supreme. God bless that big man. But I feel like with the AI president, the whole idea is like nobody is in charge of it. It's making decisions based on like how it's literally going around and asking every single person on every single relevant issue what they want and then determining it that way. It's like literal direct democracy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fascinating, right?
Yeah. I have no idea.
It would give you more of a definitive answer.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you want to go to war, you have to vote for war and then you get sent to war. That's my big pitch.
Wow.
Anybody who votes for war has to go to war.
That would be really interesting. I would be totally for that. Vote for war, go to war.
Yeah.
You can vote to skip the TSA lines. It'll be all the same people.
Yes. I love it.
You'll get the pilot that skipped all the liberal colleges.
Doesn't know his own pronouns.
Exactly. It'll be perfect. It'll be called Dude Airlines.
Yes.
There'll be a sign on it that says no girls allowed.
Yeah, now we're talking. Come on.
Get fucked up in the air like you used to.
Yeah.
I want my pilot as a dude.
No Virgin Airlines.
No, that's hilarious.
Dude, we could do it.
AI piloting is going to be a very interesting conversation.
How long do you think before AI takes over all the jobs? If you had to place a bet on it.
I would say that I think there's some hope here in the human mind, and I don't think they're going to take over. I think it's going to be a big nothing burger, sir.
Oh, man, dude. I hope you're right.
I talk to people constantly, and I'll give you. People think that my voice when I pick up the phone from my company sounds like a robot, and people always say, "Is this a real person?" How can you turn people off from that idea as an AI? As soon as people meet AI, that's their thought. Is this a real person? Because they want a real person.
I found this since you were saying you're in sales. She's an automated
sales representatives spend millions of hours tediously.
Oh, fascinating. Can we hear this?
She calls, she logs
Ava
all the calls,
is
she
an response to meetings and of an army of artisans.
Already out there. I don't know what kind of... I mean, you'd think if they actually have a good agent, they'd be able to sell themselves.
Can we hear that pitch? What is that? I'm just curious.
Yeah. You want to watch the full video?
Yeah, kind of. If you know, just a minute of it, if you don't mind.
Millions of hours tediously researching prospects, writing emails.
No, but I'm sure the podcast can't.
But what if we told you it doesn't have to be that way? Introducing Ava, the sales rep artisan. Ava is just like anyone else on your team. She has a unique personality and gets to know you. She has conversations with her colleagues via Slack.
Fascinating. So it's like a digital
She learns
assistant.
how the company works and gets better at her
job.
job.
The big thing you have to face is, are people going
Except
to want
Ava
to...
isn't like her colleagues.
How is the How do you change the perception
Ava is a first of her kind
that there's a person
AI
and they want to
agent.
talk to a person? They don't want to talk to an AI. How do you get around that?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, for some stuff, like I've already been asking the AI. I don't have health insurance, so I've been asking it like all my doctor questions. And like all my cat doctor questions.
That's interesting.
Like a pet, I feel pretty good about the answers I got back so far. I mean, they basically...
I too have asked AI some interesting things.
Yeah, right. I mean, you don't...
What is an AI sales agent? An AI sales agent is a tool that uses artificial intelligence to automate and enhance the sales process. It integrates machine learning, natural language processing, and data analytics to deliver valuable insights and help you close deals faster. So this is just going to tell you when you should make a call, how you should make it, what you should talk about. So if you sell technology, you could talk about 50 things. Servers, you could talk about printers, you could talk about paper, you could talk about, power redundancy. This is going to zoom in on what this person, based on how many people their company has, based on purchasing history, what they'd be most interested in. That's what this is, really just an aggregate.
A lot of it is CRM stuff too, entering in call information, taking notes for calls you make.
CRM sucks.
Bro, did you see Salesforce isn't planning on hiring any more software engineers in 2025?
No, that's lame. I use Salesforce. Shame on them.
It's crazy. Well, they say they're making enough improvements just with their little AI agents that they don't need it.
I don't believe them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you
tomorrow I'm going to log in and I'm going to spend my day talking to one just to prove it wrong.
God bless, dude. We got to keep the humans employed for as long as possible.
Seriously, how about we do that?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking like eventually, I don't know. Do you like your job? Would you keep doing your job if you could?
Yeah, I really do like my job. I like connecting with people and talking. So right now I work with people who've been laid off. So it's kind of cool. I do like sales development and help people. It's dope.
Super sick.
Yeah, sales is a whole thing.
Yeah. I think people do enjoy working. Like I can't imagine a future where what we're doing isn't productive in some sense,
I would agree though. I could just chill and do my own thing and kind of be a nomad and recharge that way. And I think be perfectly happy,
As long as you're making money in some sense, like as long as you're getting paid. I don't know. I think the future is going to be full of weird ways that we all get paid.
Ooh, yeah, I think you're right. I think social selling will be the next big one, sir.
Social selling.
Yes, eyes open for that in 2025. Selling and buying from people that you're building relationships with. So KC does art, and every Wednesday we meet up on this app. That's KC Show, and you can buy drawings from him live that he's doing live as he's doing them. So you're meeting up, you're talking to people, and you're getting to buy the stuff that creators are creating. I think Whatnot is in the lead in that at the moment.
Whatnot, I'll have to look them up.
Right now, if you go on there, I don't know if you have the ability to show this or not. Pull that up.
Go live.
Pull that up, Jamie. There you go. Yeah, so live marketplace. So people are, if you scroll up right now, go to the top there. Let's see how it works to become a seller. Yeah, once you log in, there'll be people that are doing live shows. They're called Whatnot shows. So they'll be selling whenever they're selling, but everybody has their own brand. So certain people do giveaways. People have, certain things that are just cool. They do cards or they do whatever, or their own art or collectibles. I've been getting some really cool old school wrestling pieces because they had somebody's personal collection. So they do like a quick 15-minute show once a week, and it's like the same people in there, and they'll, have their cool wrestling memorabilia. So I think social selling's about to take over.
That's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yes,
one of the things I think about is like how dumb advertisements are. Like I'm so sick and tired of being advertised things that I'm never going to use. I'd much rather people I know recommend me stuff that they think is cool and that would actually be cool.
I agree.
Yeah. But it's a wild world. Well, TMAK, I think we've covered a lot. We've gone here, there, back again. Everybody be sure to check out TMAK's Twitter page. I'll drop links to his podcast, of which we did a killer episode, if I may say so myself. And
yes, thank you so much for being on. I did get some great reviews, so I appreciate you. And it's at TJMac33 on Twitter.
At TJMac33, I'm showing it on screen right now. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on the first episode here. Who knows what 2025 will bring, but I hope to talk to you more.
I would love to be back. I appreciate it. And, thank you everybody for listening.